this is Val from Scrappy Mania, and today I'm going to try another different type of painting. I'm going to do a background painting, and then after I do the background, I am going to put something on there. Now, I was watching a YouTube video, and I'll put the link of the guy that was teaching you how to put paint on, and then use a spray bottle with your acrylic and let it drip down, and then after he did that, he went ahead and put a background on the painting. So I want to practice that skill about putting acrylic paint and then doing a background, because I'm planning to create a big painting for my dining room. So I want to kind of start playing with a smaller, layout and use it for my layouts. I'll try small, and then as I perfect the technique, I'll go ahead and create a big canvas. So here I am going to just apply some gesso on my surface here, just to prime it and to make sure that the surface will be be ready for my watercolor. Or actually, I'm going to use acrylic for my acrylic paint. So let me go ahead and put some gesso on this background, and then I'll let it dry, and we'll be back and we'll be ready to start our painting. Now, before I start, I forgot to put some glove in the bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that on before I even start painting. So let me clean my fingers, because later on I'm going to use some Indian ink on this layout, and I don't want to go to work with Indian ink all over my manicure and on my hands and fingers and my fingernails, because it usually takes a couple of days for it to come off, and it just looks like I never kind of washed my hands. So I already kind of have some ink there and there. I should have put some on. But I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on. I think I put too much on. And I'm going to let it dry. At the same time, I'm going to let my canvas dry. And then we'll come back to the painting. Okay, now I'm ready to go ahead and do that dripping technique. My gesso is nice and dry. I got some acrylic paint. They're kind of cheapy acrylic paint, but it will work, hopefully. Okay, I think I have enough different color paints there. Wet my brush. And before we do anything, I'm going to put a nice thick coat of paint. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the paint on, and then you're going to just follow it with some water, and you're going to just allow it to drip. And then you add more color and more sprays, and just keep doing this until you get the effect that you want. Now, my gesso was starting to also, I don't think my gesso was completely dry, because as I was doing this, some of the gesso was bleeding with the paint, which I did like. And you'll see what comes out of the final painting. But you just keep adding color, and just let you know that this is very, very, or actually extremely messy, and it's gonna put paint splatters all over your table if you don't take caution and put something to protect your table, or even a box. So what I learned with my second time that I used the same technique, I created a box, a tall box, and I put my project inside that box, and it really helped not getting the paint all over the place. So here I'm just trying to let it dry, and then I decided to let it dry overnight. Now you want to take it off the easel that I had there, because I wanted to I didn't want some of the paint, all the paint, to drip down. I wanted some on the top. So I did put a little bit of more acrylic, let it drip a little bit, and then I'm just drying it and let it dry overnight. Okay, it's still drying, but what I want to come back is to tell you my hands are completely clean, and it's using this glove in a bottle. This is the best there is. This one, and also this one. Now this one does dry your hands, and it does react with water, so like in the other video that I showed you, where I was holding the baby wipe, these two fingers was the one that got the ink in it. So this one, if it's dry medium or dry whatever, it's gonna work. But this one, even if it's wet medium, it's gonna work. Now I do have some there because I just touched this painting and it's still kind of wet, so I got some more paint on my fingers, but all the paint is gone from the fingernails. Usually I end up with paint in these grooves, and then I go to work and it's all, you know, inky. My hands are all inky. So it does work. So let me let this dry overnight, and tomorrow we'll see what we're going to do with this background. So after I woke up this morning, I came down and to look at my page, and it had a lot of nice little drips and other things on the background. And then I didn't know exactly what to do with it, so I just looked at it for a little bit. And there were some little drippage over here that looked like people. There were some blooms up here that looked like umbrellas. So I decided to make like a waterfall scene, and I put people up there, just mainly use some of my black acrylic paint and just make like a simple circle with a little stripe down. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I finished these blooms. There were some nice little blooms there. So I finished it with some red paint and made umbrellas. And then I decided to put a moon here. So I just use some acrylic paint, put some moon there, and then put some more blue and some black to kind of look, so it looks more like a moon, a real moon. I put some glitter paint up on top. I also took some real watery white paint, and I sprinkled that around to kind of look, to simulate stars. Okay, and then at the bottom, since it looked to me like a waterfall, I decided to put water on the bottom, and I wanted to put a boat and a silhouette. So after I did this, then the title of this layout came out, which was the proposal. So I decided to kind of take some of my leftover alphabet letters from my album that I was creating, my wedding album that I was creating for my sister-in-law. So I used some of those alphabet letters and spelled out the proposal. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a picture of them here. And this will be very nice to frame in a nice black frame. And they can use, put this either on a counter, in the house, or whatever they want to do. So I think this came out pretty nice. So then I took some clear sealing polymer from Golden, and I put some of that right straight onto my layout. And then I took this big old brush that I found, and actually it's a set of 4. I found these nice little big brushes at Hobby Lobby, and they were not too expensive. They were $12.99 for all these, plus I used my 40% coupon, so it really came out pretty good. And usually I know if it's going to be a good brush if you kind of brush it against your hand and hairs do not come out. And there's no hairs coming out of this. This one, no hairs. So they're pretty good. I mean, you can do like that and there's no hairs coming out. And you can be rough with it and not worried about it kind of getting messed up. So I put that, and I used my nice white brush to put that sealant on. So I think this is going to be very nice for my sister-in-law. So I did make her an album, and I think this might be a nice little addition to that album. Basically more like a nice little frame that she can put on the table. And then I'm just going to put the picture of them two here on the bottom. And I might even back it up with cardstock, or I might just leave it like this. I think it'll look nice like that on a 12x12 frame. So I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. Bye now.